from Backroad Buddies, and the video we want to share with you today is a recap of Season 4, Alaska Bound, and plans for Season 5, Southern States. Now, Alaska was a long time coming for us. We had planned on going up there 20 years ago, but life got in the way and we had to cancel that trip, so it took us 20 years to finally get up there, so it felt really good, and it was a wonderful trip and we had a wonderful time. Just to give you kind of the trip by the numbers, we were on the road for 6.5 months. We went through 13 different states, 2 different Canadian provinces, 1 Canadian territory, 6 U.S. national parks, 3 Canadian national parks. We camped in a variety of places, from national parks to state parks to provincial parks to territorial parks to city parks and some private campgrounds, and just a wide variety. And we rode all kinds of things, from ferries to trains to boats to planes to mountain gondolas. We did a lot of hiking, a little bit of biking and kayaking, but mostly hiking. And we encountered a whole lot of different wildlife, from caribou, sea otters, whales, sea lions, dolphins, bald eagles, stone sheep, doll sheep, fox, moose, bison, and of course black bear and grizzly bear. So here's the route that we took up to Alaska and back. So we live in Colorado, so we started in Colorado. We actually headed east. There's family in Ohio we needed to visit, and there was an event in Ohio that we needed to be there in April, early April. But that was really too early to start heading north because a lot of campgrounds hadn't opened up yet. So we kind of made our way all the way across the United States to the West Coast, stopping to see a lot of stuff on the way there. And then we crossed into Canada near Vancouver, toured Vancouver, and spent about a week or so on Vancouver Island before heading north. Now, we started out on what's called Sea to Sky Highway, and then we joined another highway to come up and actually pick up the Alaska Highway. And so then we went the Alaska Highway up to almost to Whitehorse, and then we took a little side trip down to Skagway and Haines. So this is actually part of Alaska here. So that was our first entry in Alaska. So we drove down to Skagway and then took a ferry over to Haines and came back up, and then went up to Whitehorse. And then instead of continuing along the Alaska Highway, you actually took the Klondike Highway here up to Dawson City. And then you take a little ferry across the Yukon River and then cross over into Alaska the second time at the town of Chicken. And then we kind of came down all the way down to over here to Anchorage and spent the 4th of July in Anchorage. And then we did a kind of a quick little tour around Kenai Peninsula, which is kind of hard to see in this map. But we went down to Homer. From Homer, we actually took a plane over to Katmai National Park to Brooks Falls to see the grizzly bears. And then we went to Seward and over to Whitaker, and then we took a ferry over to Valdez. And then went on a wildlife cruise there at Valdez. And then we drove up and along the Richardson Highway and actually took a little side trip out to McCarthy and Kennecott. Kennecott's in Wrangell St. Elias National Park, and an old copper processing plant, so that was interesting. And then we continued back on the Richardson all the way up to Fairbanks. We stopped there briefly, then came down to Denali National Park. Spent about 11 days, I think it was, in Denali National Park. Then a little side trip over to Talkeetna before going up to Fairbanks and spending more time in Fairbanks. And we actually took a tour bus up to the Arctic Circle and back. That was a long day. And then, so then we came down, not far from Anchorage is a town called Palmer, and that's where the Alaska State Fair is, so we did that. And then we started making our trek back home, because that was about 2 months in Alaska. And so we kind of came across here to Tok, and then we took the Alaska Highway down, and then instead of continuing down the Alaska Highway, we took what's called the Cassiar Highway and came down there, stopping to see things, and continued on down. Well, actually, I think it's here. There's a, you can actually hop back over into Alaska. So this was our last crossing in Alaska. Believe it or not, that's Alaska there, called Hyder, Alaska. And then we continued. Cassiar meets the Yellowhead Highway, so we did the Yellowhead Highway all the way over to Jasper in Alberta, and then we did Jasper and Icefields Parkway and Lake Louise and Banff. So coming down the Icefields Parkway and then through Calgary, and then coming down we crossed back in the United States for the last time, and went down to Great Falls, Montana. And then we wanted to hit North Dakota because that was our 50th state then, since after doing Alaska. So we shot across over to Fargo, North Dakota. We did see some things on the way, and got our little t-shirts and certificates for joining the Best for Last Club. So they have a little Best for Last Club if you leave North Dakota as your last state. And then we had a few more stops before reaching back home. So season 4 to Alaska was 6.5 months. We're actually doing 7.5 months this year in 2023, and we call this our southern states. So this is the route, our planned route anyway. So we're coming from Colorado again. We're coming across Oklahoma, come down along the coast here, come down the west side of Florida out to the Keys, up the east side, and then of course we have to head up to Ohio to visit family, and then work our way back down to the coast, go through Texas, New Mexico. We actually pop up into Colorado for a little backpacking trip, and then over to Arizona, kind of tour around there, and then we pretty much end up in Albuquerque for the Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta in the fall, and then one last stop over here at Palo Duro Canyon in Texas before going home. So season 4 to Alaska was a wonderful season. It's going to be hard to beat that, but we're going to try here in season 5. If you want to see all the blog posts or YouTube videos from season 4, you can go to the YouTube channel. There's a playlist, and I'll put a link in the description below. And on our blog website, you can actually start at the first blog post for the season, and I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And then there's links at the bottom of each blog that you can either go forward or backward in time and go to the next blog, so you can run through them all if you'd like, if you haven't seen any of them. So check that out. And if you haven't been following us, up through season 4, we were traveling in a Van Duet camper van based on a Ford Transit. But as you can see, this is the Winnebago Echo that we're traveling in season 5. So a little bit more room, a little bit more comfort, and a lot more money. So we're excited. We're actually already on the road. So we've got a lot in store to share with you, and we can't wait to bring it to you. Thanks for watching. If you want more details, look in the description below. There's a link to our related blog posts, so check that out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Ta-ta for now.